we really want to know that this is one of his joys. One of the things that excites him is to manifest the endless depth of his creative powers and abilities. And he wants his kids to see that. So as we gaze at God as the creative one, it's so important when looking to impact the world of arts and entertainment, the mountain of celebration. Our assignment is to bring this aspect of who he is to society. That's the assignment on this mountain, is to manifest his glorious creative ways. We first see him, and then we are able to re-image him into society by that which we have seen. Now, it's fine to also figure out how to get Bible themes on the big screen. I'm not against that. But the Reformation assignment is far, far beyond that. We really want to understand that. We're talking all of what we're talking about in the context of societal reformation and transformation, and it's a relational assignment. We want to love him in his 7 primary colors. We want to stare at each color of who he is, the nuanced hue of who he is, and then reproduce that aspect of who he is to society. I think the creative aspect of God is perhaps the most overlooked and underappreciated by Christians, as I was saying just a few minutes ago. And I believe it's a major reason that we've been less than successful with bringing a God that's delightful in front of society. Haggai 2 says he is the desire of the nations. I believe it's not just that people are rebels, that they say no to God. It's the unique way we represent him. If we represent him as a one-tone, boring God, then they're not for him. But if we can truly see him in all these ways that we are exploring during these sessions and begin to be able to reproduce and re-image him in society, then it becomes something beautiful that they appreciate. He truly is the desire of the nations when he's properly represented. So we want to start as his sons and daughters who want to see his reputation expanded on the planet. We want to begin seeing him in this expanded way. I want to remember about Jesus that the world that hated him, because people often say, well, they hated Jesus too. The world that hated Jesus was the religious world. It wasn't the rest of the people. It says Jesus increased in wisdom and favor with man and with God and man. And he was friend of sinners. The sinners loved him. The average Joe, he really is delightful when he's seen in the way he is. Now, Psalm 16:11 tells us that in his presence is fullness of joy, and at his right hand are pleasures forevermore. We want to get that. Pleasures forevermore in his presence. Not a little bit of joy with a little bit of sobriety, but fullness of joy. Like if you just don't like happy things, just stay away from being right in the close proximity of his throne room. Go out, I don't know if there's some trees where there's some maybe paradise trees, some fruit trees where it can be more solemn or whatever. But in his presence, you get close to him, there's fullness of joy. Here on earth, the mountain of celebration of arts and entertainment is the mountain where we're trying to find some joy from, where society is trying to find some joy from. And in general, everyone is so inferior in their creativity that it requires drugs and alcohol to add the joy element. In heaven, his creativity is intoxicating all by itself because it's full of glory. True creativity carries a glory to it. So that will even affect, again, your breath. It'll just take your breath away when you see something, you hear a story, you hear a sound. Here, you've been to concerts, you know about concerts. Many of the concerts are some pretty good music, but the whole idea is you have to get high and drink to really enjoy it. Major sports events, they're considered to be fun mainly because for many, not for me, but for many, we don't know what the percentage is, but for the alcohol, you can drink at the same time and hopefully get buzzed or drunk. And we're going to know that we're actually seeing our Creator properly represented here on earth when those who see or hear what we've produced don't need any stimulants to experience the real joy and pleasure of that encounter. This is going to happen. This is going to happen once the sons and daughters of the King get used to gazing at God the Creator long enough to get who he is and then go after the resource of his creativity and the glory that he has to manifest on earth. It's going to be fun to wow the world. This is what we will do. The sons and daughters of the King who will get this will wow the world with his over-the-top creativity in music, in art, in fashion, in cooking, in movies, and dance, and sports, in every way that the arts are celebrated. And we have to get to know him as this incredibly joyful, paint-throwing God that he is, and get some glorious paint throwing of our own going on. And this becomes our assignment, to reveal the majesty of the creativity of who he is. And that is the primary assignment. Again, the Christian theme stuff, and okay, we can get John 3:16 on the big screen. That's really, really secondary, and we want to understand that. Whatever area of arts and entertainment that you can think of, he has a wow factor of glory ready to show up on planet Earth. And as we're already identifying, he's limitless in his creativity. The kids of choice he needs on this mountain are those that can get this and that can make way for it, either by accessing the greater creativity, those willing to spend hours in his time accessing the sounds, the music, the fashions that he has available, are those who wish to assist financially or structurally in making a way for this better product of heaven to be produced. On earth as it is in heaven, the deal we're going to learn, what society will learn, everything from heaven is just better. It's a better product. Better outcomes, better product come from heaven. It's not like we're begging them to like Jesus stuff, and sorry, he's a little bit boring and doesn't know stuff. No, our product, our resource is the top of the line, cannot be competed with. There is no comparison. And hopefully you can feel the excitement of that. You should, because he's excited that someone is finally getting this. I feel like the Lord's finally saying, good, somebody is finally getting an idea of what I can do and what I'm going to do on planet Earth. We have just so underrepresented him in this facet of who he is that it's really appalling. But that is, it's going to change. It really makes us hardly recognizable as his kids when we have a DNA that doesn't carry his matchless glory and creativity in the way it's supposed to in arts and music and dance and film and sports. He is the God of the big stage. He was made for the big stage. And but we have to know how to carry him there. And that's what he's also going to teach us as well. Now this is, to say it again, this is a specific mountain we can wow people with. The God wow factor is supposed to show up in the mountain of arts and entertainment. He wants to wow us. He wants to wow them, and he wants to reveal to us and to them how fun he is. You got to, if you grow up too religiously, I couldn't have embraced this idea when I was younger, that a God was fun. That was not spiritual enough. Our God is fun, and he wants people to know how fun he is. He wants us to know how he tells stories and how creative he is, and how much he likes to celebrate. He is the celebrating God. This is the face of God that is designed to impact and reform the mountain of arts and entertainment. It is this face that will come even into Hollywood and bring reform to Hollywood. It's no big deal overthrowing Jezebel and the counterfeits there once the real starts showing up. It's only a problem when we don't understand what we're about. So we really have already thousands of believers in Hollywood, but not a clear understanding of our assignment, not a clear understanding of we have to gaze at him, we have to see him, and we have to bring that on earth as it is in heaven. So our God is fun, 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 and overflowing with humor, joy, adventure, drama, and beauty. This is as we look at him, as we look at this nuanced aspect of who he is. This is who he has presented himself as, even in the scriptures, for those who can see this nuanced color. If we look, he's always telling a story. That's how Jesus came as well. And he loves surprise endings. He loves surprising the bad guy. Think of Goliath, Haman, Jezebel. Over and over again, he surprises the bad guy with who he's going to use to take him out and how he's going to use him. It's why Satan is always multiple steps behind him. God is always aware of who Satan thinks it can't be who will bring him down. That's God says, let's use him. It's part of the majesty of his ways. He has Davids for Goliaths. Saul's the tall guy. He's the 7-footer in Israel. But little David, the reject in his own family, he's the guy he wants to use to take out the big mocking giant. He has Esther's for Haman's. He has Jehu's. If you remember, Jehu's the one that took out Jezebel. The Creator is constantly weaving the devil into storylines. But he's always getting him set up for major falls to a great underdog. He's the great storyteller our God is. He chooses a stuttering 80-year-old man with a murder under his belt, that would be Moses, if you weren't aware, to take a whole nation out of Egypt, to deliver a whole nation. He uses the same Red Sea that they thought was their doom to drown the enemy. He parts the Red Sea through the raising of a rod. 40 years later, when they cross the Jordan River, but this time he doesn't want them raising the rod. He's a compulsive creative. We're getting this thing now. You have to start walking in the water this time, and it'll work. And same reason, Moses the first time, the water from the rock, you hit it with your rod. Next time, I know there's another spiritual lesson there as well, but the next time, like, no, you hit it again. That's not how, I said, speak to it this time. It's his ways. He has a different ways for everything. And then he has the walls of a great city collapse because of a piercing sound of shofars and a shout from the people. And then angels push it over. He loves story. Our God loves story. He's telling stories throughout all of the scriptures. He's telling stories now. He's telling stories with your life. And he loves using underdogs, and he loves overcoming darkness, Satan, the devil, with things that he imagines couldn't do so. He has David use a little stone. Goliath collapses to a little stone from an unarmed boy. Haman is hanged on his own gallows. Proud evil king or leader after proud evil king or leader is brought down in a most unusual and unexpected manner, as if we took the time to go through that in Scripture, and you know those stories. He chooses the weak things of this world to confound the wise. He talks about that, Paul does, in 1 Corinthians. Such stories of glory. So I'm just throwing out some of these just in an attempt to look at the face of God, Creator. It's worth soaking in hour after hour after hour of this perspective, considering who he is and how he is in his areas of creativity and storytelling, and falling in love with this aspect of who he is.